Hello everyone and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. My name is Keith and tonight we're going to be continuing with our playthrough of Eldritch Horror against Hypnos. This is episode 3. I would expect this is going to be the last in the series. Our Doom track is currently at 4. We've solved one of the 3 mysteries we need to solve. Currently our next current mystery is Master of Dreams. We have one of 4 clue tokens there to solve that. I think the only strategy that I'm going to be able to employ is to just try to make a rush to complete these mysteries, and we'll see what happens. Now there are some monsters on the board that are going to make our lives more difficult. We've got a zombie horde in the Amazon, and during reckoning effects, on a result of 1 or 2, it's going to move the Doom track down 1. We also have a Honored Dead and a Leopard Man and Amigo on the board. So what we're looking to do is to try to get to locations with clue tokens and try to resolve those as quickly as possible. Maybe we can still pull a victory out. Now I moved our lead investigator token to Mark Harrigan. He's currently at the pyramids, and he's going to attempt to battle that Honored Dead at the pyramids. Now we also have Daisy Walker at the pyramids as well. I think what Mark is going to do is he's going to focus. We'll give him a focus token. That is his second. And I think he is also going to collect a resource token. That'll be his 2 actions at the pyramids. Gloria Goldberg is currently at the moon, and I think we're going to have her do some traveling, and she'll probably move to Dilathleen and attempt to pick up the clue token that is there. She currently is blessed, so that will help. So for her first action, she's going to travel along the ship line to Dilathleen. For her second action, she's going to do a rest action, and she's going to recover a sanity. Tommy Muldoon is up next. He has 5 clue tokens and a resource. He also has an ally and a carbine rifle, and I think we're going to start out with him doing a move action. He's going to move to Ulthar, and there's a clue token there. So he's going to use the uncharted path from Dilathleen and move to Ulthar. For his second action, he's going to focus. And finally, we have Daisy Walker. She's also at the pyramids. She's got 2 clues, 2 focus, and 2 resources, and she has Randolph Carter as an ally, +2 to lore and +2 to will. I think we're going to have her take the local path to the underworld. So she's going to use the local path and go to the underworld. There is an open gate there. And she will move to the underworld. We have to close some of these blue gates because the next Omen track movement is going to be onto a blue star pattern. So we've currently got a total of 3 blue gates open. We have to start closing some of these. All right, we're going to move on to the encounter phase. Mark Harrigan is at the pyramids. He has to fight this Honored Dead. So let's see what we've got here. We'll have to start out with a will test with 2 horror. Mark Harrigan currently has a willpower of 4 + 1 for his improvement. That's 5. So he's going to get 5 dice for this test. And we'll see if we can pass this without much trouble. Okay, he's got 2 successes, so that's going to wipe out any horror that was involved. We've passed the first one. Now we're going to go on to our strength test, strength -1. Mark Harrigan has a strength of 4, and he's also going to be using the 38 revolver. That gives him +2. Now we also have kerosene available. You may discard this card to gain +5 during a combat encounter, and I think Mark is going to use the kerosene. We'll do that. So his total is strength of 4 +5 for the kerosene. That's 9. -1 is 8. We'll be rolling 8 dice, and this creature has a damage of 3 and a toughness of 3. So we've got a total of 8 dice for this test, and I'm hoping that we can do well. He has 2 focus tokens. Okay, here is the roll. All right, he has a total of 2 hits. 2 hits. I think we're going to use one of his focus tokens and try to get a 3rd hit so we can get rid of this creature. We'll spend a focus and reroll. He's done it. He's got 3 hits. 3 hits will wipe out any damage, and it's going to take that creature out with 3 toughness. So he's done his job, and we've used the kerosene to do it. Excellent. And now, since he has completed that combat against that creature, he's able to take a location action as a bonus. So I think he'll take a generic location encounter at the pyramids, and that's a wilderness encounter. And that encounter reads, being away from the city offers you a chance to practice meditation techniques in peace and quiet. You find that calming your mind awakens things within you that you never knew you were capable of. You may spend 1 focus to improve 1 skill of your choice. That is awesome. He does have a focus token, so we're going to take advantage of that. He'll spend that, and let's see what we want to improve here. Well, I think the smart play would be for him to improve probably strength. So I think we will do that. We'll give him an improvement to strength, moving that up to 5. So he's got a nice combination there, strength and willpower, which will be very helpful for us. That'll complete his encounter phase. We'll move on to Gloria Goldberg. All right, Gloria is at Dilathleen, and she's going to attempt token encounter, and we'll see if she can do a research action there. All right, the city research action reads, not even the social elite have been able to avoid the sleepwalking phenomena that has been plaguing the city. And you investigate amidst the chaos. Test influence -1. All right, Gloria has an influence of 3. So she'll be rolling 2 dice for the test, and she's blessed, so we'll be able to use the blue blessed dice. All right, here is her test roll. And she has no success. She's going to use a focus, and we'll re-roll 1 of those. It's nice to have those focus tokens when you've got blessed dice. You got a good chance on success. And we've done it. We've got the 5, and we'll continue reading. It says, if you pass, you learn who has been afflicted. Gain the clue. All right, she's going to gain the clue, and we'll apply that to the Master of Dreams mystery. We've got 2 of the 4 we need. All right, Tommy Muldoon is up next. He is at Ulthar. He is also going to do a research action. And the city research action reads, you attend a night class on the meaning behind common dreams and nightmares. Gain this clue. All right. He's going to apply that to the mystery. That's our 3rd. We need 1 more to solve that 2nd mystery. That's great. It also says you realize suddenly that you forgot to put on your clothes before you came, and look for something to cover yourself. Test observation. All right. Tommy Muldoon has an observation of 3 plus 1 improvement. That's 4. Okay, here's his test. And he's done it. He's got 2 successes. All right. We don't get anything further. It just says if you fail, the eyes of all humanity are upon you, lose 2 sanity. So he's past that. So that's great. All right, Daisy Walker is up next, and she's going to try to close that gate at the pyramids. And the gate leads her to Yuggoth. You find yourself in an abandoned mine on Thog, one of the moons of Yuggoth. Somewhere in the distance, you can hear the distinctive cries of Shoggoths. The sound terrifies you to your core, and you fight the urge to flee. Test willpower -1. Well, Daisy has a willpower of 3, and she gains +2 for Randolph Carter. So that's a total of 5. -1, she'll be using 4 dice for the test. So here is the roll. She has 1 success. That is awesome. We'll read the success portion. You find the abandoned equipment that can be used to return you home. Close the gate. Excellent. So the pyramids are closed. Outstanding. And that says before you go, you search the area. Test observation -1. Okay, Daisy has an observation of 2. So she's only going to get 1 die for the test. And let's see what happens. All right. She's passed it. That is awesome. If you pass, you find a series of revelatory murals. Gain 2 clues. All right. That's awesome. That moves Daisy up to 4 clue tokens. Now we're going to have to go to the Mythos phase, and that's going to be resolved by Mark Harrigan. The Mythos card is revealed to be fractured reality. First step is to spawn clues. We'll be spawning 2 clues. Our clues are going to be in the underworld and Celephus. All right. That works out quite nice for us because Daisy Walker is in the underworld. Next, we're supposed to place a rumor token in space 2. So we'll place the rumor token in the sea space off the coast of San Francisco in space 2. Then we're supposed to place 4 Eldritch tokens on the card. And then we'll read about this ongoing rumor. It says the strange phenomena is an echo of the catastrophic destruction of Mu. The repercussions of the Serpent People's overreaching ambition will still take their toll. Fractured reality as an encounter. An investigator on space 2 may use an ancient portal created by a long-dead wizard of Mu. He resolves an otherworld encounter. If the effect allows him to close the gate, solve the rumor instead. That's not too bad. When there are no Eldritch tokens on this card, advance doom by 1 for each gate on the board. Whoa. We're going to have to solve that quickly. During a reckoning effect, discard an Eldritch token from the card. All right. Well, we desperately need to get someone off the coast of San Francisco. Unfortunately, I don't have any characters that are nearby there. I think the fastest way is to try to get one of our characters from the Dreamlands using the local path back to Arkham and then move them across the US to that space. That's going to take a while. All right, we're going to begin with Mark Harrigan for the next round, and he is going to move, I think, using the uncharted path, and that will move him into the heart of Africa. His second action is going to be a focus, and we'll give him a focus token. All right. Next is Gloria Goldberg, and she is going to, I think, move to the moon. And then she's going to use the local path to move to Arkham. So she moves to Arkham using that local path, and she's going to use a rail ticket that she has to continue her movement into Chicago. That'll get her closer to that location. She has 1 action left, and I think she's going to focus. It'll give her her second focus token. Next up is Tommy Muldoon. He's going to move from Ulthar using the local path into the Enchanted Wood. So that doesn't cost him anything. His first action will be a focus, and his second action will be a rest action, and he's going to recover a sanity. Finally, we have Daisy Walker. She's in the underworld with a clue token. So I think what we'll have her do, she's fully healed in health and sanity. She's got a full complement of focus and resources. So, well, to start out with, she's going to use Randolph Carter's ability. It says once per round during the action phase, you may reveal the top gate in the gate stack. If you do, you may put it on the bottom of the gate stack. So let's do that. We'll see what that is going to be. That is in Tokyo, and that's a blue gate. We're going to put that at the bottom. Well, she doesn't have any component actions, and she can't acquire assets because she's not in a city. So I think we're just going to have to waste her 2 actions, unfortunately. I want to keep her at the underworld for that clue token. So that'll finish up. Our actions will go on to the encounters, starting with Mark Harrigan. All right, Mark Harrigan is in the heart of Africa, and he has to combat the Leopard Man. So he is going to have to start with a will test with a horror level of 1. His horror level is a total of 5, so we get 5 dice for the test. So we'll start out with that. He has no successes, so he's going to take 1 loss in sanity, moving him down to 3. I have 1 focus token, and we'll save that for the next part of this combat. In this case, we have a strength test with 2 damage. His strength now is 5 with the improvement, and he'll gain +2 for his 38 revolver. So we've got a total of 7 dice. And we need to get at least 2 hits to kill this creature. Hopefully we can. He has 1 focus. And he's done it. He's got 4 hits. He'll take no damage, and the Leopard Man is no more. Outstanding. And since he's defeated that monster in the heart of Africa, he gets a bonus action there, or bonus encounter, and he's going to take the token encounter, and we're going to see what's happening with the expedition. The expedition card reads, in a part of the jungle avoided by all the local tribes, you find a stone covered with strange dot patterns. You attempt to identify the origin of the shard and interpret the meaning of the patterns. Test lore -1. Well, unfortunately, Harrigan is not too good with lore. He only gets 1 die for this, his base. Okay, here is his test. He's failed. So our choice is to try to use the focus token now or save it for later. I think we'll save it and we'll go on to the fail condition. It says your failure hurts your reputation amongst your peers. Discard all influence improvement tokens. I mean, he has none, so that's good. Soon, a rival expedition tries to steal the fragment. Test strength. Well, he has a total of 5 strength, so that's pretty good. So we'll roll 5 dice. He's got 4 + 1 improvement. Okay, here is his roll. He's got 2 successes. If you pass, you escape with the other expedition's notes. Gain 2 clues. All right, so he'll gain 2 clue tokens. That is awesome. And we'll give him those, and that will complete his encounter phase. Checking the top of the expedition deck, we find out the expedition moves to the Amazon. Okay, Gloria Goldberg is in Chicago. She's going to have a generic city encounter. And that reads, grifters have chosen you to be their next mark. You plan on turning the tables with a few tricks of your own. Test observation -1. Well, she has an observation level of 3, so she'll get 2 dice for the test, and she's still blessed. And here's her test roll. She's got 2 successes. That is awesome. If you pass, you end up with the money and an impressive reputation. Improve influence. That is great. So we'll give Gloria an improvement token, moving her up to a total of 4 influence. All right, Tommy Muldoon is up next. He's in the Enchanted Wood, and he's going to do a research action. The Enchanted Wood is in wilderness, so we'll read that. And it says, there is no ground, only the infinite void, and you try to convince yourself it is not real. Test will -1. All right, well, Tommy Muldoon has a total willpower of 3, so he'll be using 2 dice for the test. And here's his test roll. He has 1 success. That is awesome. And it says if you pass, the stars of the corona borealis blaze around you as you fall. Gain this clue. Well, he is going to gain the clue and apply that to our Master of Dreams mystery. And we've got 4 tokens there now. So that is awesome. We'll be solving that at the end of the Mythos phase. All right, since we have the 4 clues that we need to solve that, I think Daisy, rather than taking a research action, is going to take an encounter at the underworld. And that'll be a wilderness encounter. And that reads, the terrain ahead of you looks impassable, but going around would take too long. You need to find some way to move forward. Test observation. Well, she has an observation of 2. We'll give her an observation test with 2 dice. She has 5 clues and 2 focus tokens. She's passed it. That is awesome. If you pass, you discover a path. Move 1 space. All right. Well, I really don't want to move her necessarily because we've got a clue token there, so I think we'll just stand pat. All right, we're going to move on now to the Mythos phase, and that'll be resolved by Mark Harrigan. And he draws the Mythos card, the Messenger. We're going to begin with an Omen Track advancement. Our Omen Track is going to move to the blue star pattern. We have a total of 2 blue gates on the board. That's going to decrease our doom from 4 down to 2. All right. Next, we have to resolve a monster surge, and that means that each blue gate on the board is going to spawn 2 monsters. We'll begin with Relay. All right, Relay spawns a star vampire and a werewolf. The star vampire has a special action when it comes into the play. And that says when this monster is spawned, advance the omen by 1, unless investigators as a group spend 2 clues. Well, we've got plenty of clues, so I think we will do that. We want to keep that back from going to the green. We have no green gates on the board, so I think we'll have Daisy spend a clue and Tommy Muldoon spend a clue. Now there's also a werewolf here that has an reckoning encounter action, and that says move this monster 1 space towards the nearest investigator, then the investigator on the space loses a health. Okay, so that's not too bad. The monster surge brings to London. All right, in London, a ghoul priest and a flying polyp appear. Both of them have reckoning effects. Let's see what happens to this. During a reckoning phase, that resolve the reckoning effect of the cultist as listed on the Ancient One sheet. Okay, it's not too bad. And then this one is move this monster to the nearest space containing a gate. So not too bad. All right, let's go back to our Mythos card. Next, we're going to spawn clues, and we get 2 clues per our icon reference card. And the clues are going to go in space 2, which is where the rumor is, and space 20, which is in Indonesia. And now the event, and this is the Messenger. And this has the tentacles, so this will be more difficult. An ancient-looking man hands you a heavy object wrapped in worn strips of fabric. Removing the wraps, you discover a black sculpture of the pharaoh, Nephron-Ka. Event. Each investigator must resolve one of the following effects. Lose 3 health and 3 sanity, impair 3 skills, or gain a Bane condition. Wow. Well, we'll begin with Daisy Walker. She's going to lose the 3 health and 3 sanity. She can afford to do that. So we will do that. She is currently at 2 health and 4 sanity now. Mark Harrigan would be up next, and I think he's going to impair 3 skills of his choice. He's going to impair influence, observation, and willpower. The willpower he's already at +1, so that will just move that off. I guess we could also do that with his strength. So he's going to surrender 2 of his improvements, and then he's going to impair, I think, influence. So we'll give him an impairment token. Gloria Goldberg also has to choose, I think, the impair 3 skills. She's going to impair lore and influence, because both of those are improvements right now. So she has to do 1 more, and I think she will impair her influence as well. That'll move that to an impairment token. And finally, Tommy Muldoon. I think he can afford to lose the 3 health and 3 sanity. So we will do that. We'll get rid of 3 health and 3 sanity, moving him to 4 health and 2 sanity. So that was bad, but it could have been worse. Now we'll move to the end of the Mythos phase, and we're going to complete our second mystery. And that says, at the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to the number of investigators, solve the mystery. So we have solved Master of Dreams. We've got 4 clues there. And we're going to be displaying now our third and hopefully final mystery. If this is an easier one, we'll have a chance. Let's see what we get. This is Descending the Steps. Was it a dream or was it a vision? Perhaps both. Perhaps neither. Will you remember it when you wake? The only thing you know for certain is that you must make the journey. There is no other choice. After an investigator closes a gate during an otherworld encounter or a dream quest encounter, he may spend a clue and discard a talent condition to place that gate on this card. At the end of the phase, if there are gates on this card equal to half the number of investigators solve the mystery, so we'll need 2 of those. The problem is we don't have the talent conditions. That's the problem. No one has any talents. So we're going to need to acquire some talents as quickly as possible. And that is not necessarily an easy thing. We're going to need talents, and we're going to need gates to close. Well, the specialty in Ulthar is to gain talent conditions. So let's see exactly what we're going to need for this mystery. It says, after an investigator closes a gate during an otherworld encounter or a dream quest encounter, he may spend 1 clue and discard a talent condition to place that gate on the card. So we're going to need talents and clues in addition to closing the gates. Okay. Well, I think we're going to move the first player token to Tommy Muldoon, and we will get started with our next turn. So Tommy Muldoon, he's in the Enchanted Woods. He's got plenty of clues. We need to get talents. And the only way I can see doing it is at Ulthar, in addition to just normal encounters that we can have in our spaces. So I think that's our best bet. So Tommy Muldoon will do using this local path, he'll move to Ulthar. And I think the only other thing he could try is he could use his influence to try to roll to see if he could pick up something in the reserve. Let me check that real quick. No, none of those directly help us with talents. He has 2 actions remaining. I guess, let's see what his action on his card is. Component action. Move a monster of your choice with a toughness of 3 or less from an adjacent space to your space. That won't help. Well, I guess he's going to do a rest action, and he'll recover 1 sanity, moving him back up to 3. His next action will be to gain resources. He'll have 2 resources, 2 focus, and 4 clue tokens. That's good. All right, that's it for him. We'll move on to Daisy Walker. Daisy is going to travel using the uncharted path. We'll move her to Ulthar as well. Her second action will be a rest action, and we'll have her regain 1 health, moving her from 2 to 3 health. All right, Mark Harrigan is up, and I think he is going to start with a travel action. We'll have him move to Cape Town, South Africa, and I think for his second action, he is going to rest, and we'll have him recover a sanity, moving him up to 4. And finally, we have Gloria Goldberg. She is in Chicago. She's trying to get to this rumor token, and she'll move, I guess, into San Francisco. And her second action, preparing for travel, could be helpful, but I think she is going to do a rest action, and she will recover 1 sanity. That makes the most sense. That'll move her sanity up to 3. All right. Now we'll move on to our encounters, beginning with Tommy Muldoon. All right, Tommy's in Ulthar, and he will encounter that space. And we'll take the Ulthar encounter. And that reads, the High Priest, Atal, lets you examine the notes of his former master, Barzai. Test lore -1. Well, Tommy Muldoon has a lore of 2, so he's only going to get 1 die for the test. And he has plenty of clue tokens to use and focus tokens, so we'll try it. Here's the test roll. He's passed it with a 5. That is amazing. It says if you pass, the notes lead you to a treasure on Mount Hathed Ka. Gain 1 magical artifact. Well, that's not what we wanted, but we'll give him the magical artifact. Magical artifact is revealed to be a gate box. Investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests during otherworld encounters. If you close a gate during an otherworld encounter, gain 1 clue. That is very useful. Outstanding. Next, we'll go to Daisy Miller. Daisy is also in Ulthar, and she'll take the city location in Ulthar. And that encounter reads, as you read the temple's copy of the Narcotic manuscripts, you start to go mad. Test willpower. All right, Daisy has a willpower of 3. She gains 2 for Randolph Carter. She has 5 dice. So she will roll 5 dice for the test. All right. She's passed. She has 2 successes. That says if you pass, you learn valuable lessons, gain a talent. Outstanding. And she gains the talent Studious. As an action, test will -1. If you pass, improve 1 skill of your choice, then flip the card. Well, Daisy is definitely ready to solve the first clue for that last mystery, but I don't know if we're going to have enough time. She's going to have to try to get to a gate, which would be Celephus probably. That would be the closest. It's going to take a while, and then we'll still need 1 more. So I think time is probably going to run out for us before we can accomplish this, but let's try. All right, Mark Harrigan is in Cape Town, South Africa, and he is going to take a generic city encounter. And that reads, the city is home to an exclusive club for world travelers. You try to convince them that granting you a membership would be a prestigious feather in their cap. Test influence -1. Harrigan has, unfortunately, he's got a influence currently of 1. He has a -1 to his influence. So he'll be rolling 1 die for the test. He has 2 clues and a focus. So he'll try it. Here is the test. He's rolled a 3. We're going to have him use a focus token and re-roll. It's a 4. I guess we'll have him spend a clue. And try that again. He's done it. He's got a 5. He has done it. It says if you pass, the other members will graciously help you with your future travel plans. Gain a ship ticket and a train ticket. That's going to be helpful. That is good. So that's going to complete Harrigan's encounter. We'll move to Gloria Goldberg in San Francisco. And Gloria is going to take a San Francisco encounter or a generic encounter? Boy, this is a tough one. I think maybe the generic encounter might be a little safer for us. So let's do that. Generic city encounter in San Francisco. And let's hope that that was a good choice. It says a shop in the old part of town is reputed to have amazing collection of rare books, but the shop cannot always be found. Research the legend and do your best to find it. Test lore -2. Well, Gloria has a lore of 3, and she's in a boon condition still, so it's going to give us 1 die for the test using a blue die. Okay, here is her roll. She's rolled a 3, so she'll have to use one of her focus tokens, and we'll re-roll that. Whoops. She's done it. She's got a 6. She's passed it. If you pass, gain a tome artifact. All right. And she gains the tome artifact, Tataka Halat. As an action test lore, if you pass, you may spend a sanity to choose 1 monster on your space to lose 3 health. That's pretty powerful. All right, we're going to move to our Mythos phase, and Tommy Muldoon will be resolving this. We'll just have to hope that somehow we can get a green Mythos card. That would be the best. And we didn't get it. We got a yellow. So we're going to be moving our Omen track from blue to green. We have no green gates, thank goodness. And then we're going to go through our reckoning effects. And we will begin with the monster reckonings. There's going to be a lot of them. And I think rather than showing you all of the monster reckoning effects live, I'm going to perform those actions off camera, and I'll let you know what the results of these are. Well, we had very little ill effects from the reckoning effects on the monsters. The werewolf moved into Buenos Aires. We had the Migo move from space 3 to the closest clue, which was at Indonesia, and it absorbed that clue. Fortunately, the zombie horde didn't kick off. That would have moved our doom track to 0. The ghost priest and the flying polyp had no effect on us. So we'll move to Hypnos's reckoning effect, and that says each investigator moves a space toward the nearest space in the Dreamlands, unless he spends a sanity. Well, we don't want to move Gloria Goldberg. She's going to be trying to get to that rumor token. So I think she will spend a sanity. I'll move her from 3 down to 2. For Tommy Muldoon, he's already in the Dreamlands. So is Daisy Walker. It leaves us with Mark Harrigan, and he would be moving to the space nearest to the Dreamlands. That would put him back in the heart of Africa. If he can afford to spend a sanity, we will do it. He can. He's got 4 sanity. We'll spend a sanity and keep him where he is. All right, now we're going to go to active rumor cards. And there is one. That's that fractured reality. And that fractured reality says to discard an Eldritch token from the card. So we'll move that from 4 to 3 Eldritch tokens. It's not the worst. And finally, it's going to be possessions and conditions, and we'll start with Tommy Muldoon. All right, his only reckoning is his ally, Hildred Castanaga. It says his behavior grows erratic, flip the card. Roll a die and resolve the matching effect. Okay, so we'll have him roll the die. Result is a 6, and that says gain a clue. Then flip the card. All right, so we're going to gain another clue. That is great. Daisy Walker has no reckoning effects to resolve. Neither does Mark Harrigan. Finally, Gloria Goldberg has that bless condition, and we're going to have to roll for that. So, if she rolls a 1 or a 2, we're going to have to discard it. She's rolled a 5, so we can keep the bless condition, thank goodness. All right, next we're going to spawn a gate, and this is a red gate in Hyperborea, space 13. And the monster we've drawn is a crawling one. It has no effects on it, which is good. So it has magical resistance, but we don't really care about this too much. So we'll put that in space 13 in Hyperborea. And now we have to read the event, and this has the tentacles. So see what this is. Before your very eyes, the stars shift in the night sky. Constellations break apart and reform, shattering your previous predictions of the omens. The event is move the omen counterclockwise by 1, then advance the doom by 1 for each gate on the game board that corresponds to the current omen. Oh no. Well, that is probably going to do us in. We'd have to move it counterclockwise to a blue star pattern. We've got 2 blue gates on the board. That's going to reduce our doom to 0, and that means that Hypnos will awaken. So we flip Hypnos' card, and it says Hypnos awakens. Each investigator moves to the nearest space on the Dreamland's sideboard. Move each cultist to the nearest space on the Dreamland's sideboard. All right. Well, for Gloria Goldberg, that would be to the moon. That's the closest one for her. For Mark Harrigan, that would be the underworld. So we'll move them there. And then it says, the Lord of Sleep. When an investigator performs a rest action, he cannot recover both health and sanity. Okay, that's the same as we had. Each time the doom would advance, place a dream portal from the game board on this sheet. Dream portals on this sheet cannot be spawned. Then, if there are no dream portals in the game board, the investigators will lose. The reckoning effect becomes each investigator moves 1 space toward the nearest space on the Dreamlands board. All right, but we have a final mystery, and that says, as an encounter, if 3 mysteries have been solved, an investigator on an active Dream Quest space may attempt to put an end to the internal nightmare. He draws and resolves a Corona Borealis special event. When there are Eldritch tokens on this card equal to half the number of investigators, the final mystery is solved and the investigators win the game. So we have to solve our 3rd mystery, and then in addition to that, carry out this encounter in the space with the Dream Quest, and that's in Unknown Kadath. All right. So this means we're going to have to solve that extra mystery in order to win the game. We've completed this Mythos card, and we have to decide if we're going to keep the lead investigator on Tommy Muldoon or move it. Well, the only character that has a talent to sacrifice in order to try to complete the 3rd mystery is Daisy Walker. So I guess we will make her the lead investigator for the time being, see what we can do about this. I really don't think we're going to be able to win this, but I'm going to still try. I think what I'll do is I'm going to play ahead off camera, and when we get closer to the finale, if so, I'll begin filming once again. Well, I played through the next action and encounter phases. Luckily, we got pretty lucky. We were able to gain a Moxie talent condition for Gloria Goldberg and a composed talent condition for Tommy Muldoon. Now we have to resolve a Mythos card. And we have the Mythos card, Rally the People. First step is an Omen Track advancement. Fortunately, that is to a green gate again, and we have no green gates. Next are the Reckoning effects. And I'm going to play through those off camera, and I'll note any important conditions. All right, we've completed all of the reckonings. The worst thing that happened was 2 of the gates, one to the underworld and one to the moon, have been placed on the Hypnos Awakens card. So 1 more of those will instantly lose us the game. In addition, Tommy Muldoon received a impairment to his lore. Other than that, nothing much changed. And a werewolf ended up moving to Unknown Kadath. All right, we're going to spawn a gate, and this gate is going into Ulthar. All right. A gate opens in Ulthar, and it's guarded by a cultist. Now, the cultist's new abilities are a will test with a horror level of 1, strength test with a damage of 1, and 1 toughness. It says after resolving the willpower test, you cannot free the dreamer from eternal slumber. Gain 1 madness condition. All right. So next we will move on to the event. And that says, Rally the People. After the noise and violence is over, one of the shopkeepers peers out his shuttered windows, amazed to see you alive. He opens the window and calls out, "It's over. Are we safe?" You wave to let him know that everything is fine. The lead investigator gains a random ally asset from the deck. Well, that's going to be going to Daisy Walker. And she is going to gain The ally, esteemed author. You may reroll one die when resolving an influence test. When you gain this card from the deck or reserve, gain a random tome asset from the deck. Okay. And she's going to gain the Mystic Scroll. You may reroll one die when resolving a lore test. All right. All right, that's going to bring the Mythos phase to a close, and we will have to continue on here. Let's see if there's any chance here. We've still got to get 2 clues on our regular mystery, and then we have to move up to Unknown Kadath, where the Dream Portal is, and resolve that action too. I highly doubt we're going to be able to do that. We're getting way late in the game, and one more of these Dream Paths comes out on Hypnos' card. We're going to lose instantly. I'll continue playing off camera and I'll let you know what happens. All right, during the actions and encounters phase, miraculously we were able to close the gate in Celephus. So we've got both gates. Gate closed in Ulthar and a gate closed in Celephus. That'll meet the requirements for finishing that 3rd mystery. But we have to resolve the next Mythos card. In order to win the game, we're going to have to go to Unknown Kadath, but I don't know if we're going to be able to survive this. It'll depend on the Mythos card. And the card is a green card. The card is titled Rising Terror. We're going to begin with an Omen Track advancement, and that's going to be from green to blue. We've got a total of 2 blue gates that would move the Doom up 2, and we're going to have to place 2 more Dream Portals on our Hypnos card. We only have 1 more to place, and we've lost the game. Well, I did get close. We would have been within 1 turn. If we would have been able to survive this Mythos card, we could have had Daisy Walker move to Unknown Kadath. We were able to wipe out the werewolf that was there, which was pretty interesting. That was using Gloria Goldberg's banishment spell. And if we could have gotten there, we could have attempted the final mystery, and we would have had a chance. We would have had to have drawn and resolved a Corona Borealis special encounter. I'm going to see what that card would have been. And that card would have been Corona Borealis. We would have needed to pass a lore -1 test to start out, and that would have been Daisy Walker doing that. That would have given us 3 dice, and she would have had a reroll for a lore test. She also would have gained +2 lore for Randolph Carter. So let's just say we would have, for the sake of argument, we would have passed that. Next would have been to call upon Nodens to grant us a mighty boon, but you ask far more than he is willing to give. It would be an influence -1. Her influence is 3. -1 would have been 2. We would have had a reroll because of our esteemed author. So it's possible we could have passed that. And if that would have been the case, you may gain a dark pact condition to roll 3 additional dice. If your test result is 3 or greater, he acquiesces, place an Eldritch token on the Ancient One sheet. Otherwise, resolve the fail effect. All right. The fail effect was displeased with your ineptitude. Nodens banishes you. Each investigator on space moves to a random space unless he spends a clue. So in theory, we could have placed 1 Eldritch token on the card, but not the second that we would have needed. So it looks like we would have lost probably either way. Well, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of Eldritch Horror. The game was actually a lot closer than I would have thought, and I think if I would have made some minor changes to my strategy earlier, we probably would have had a little bit better chance. But unfortunately, I let that Doom track slip too quickly, and that brought out Hypnos Awakens, and thus mandating that we solve an extra mystery, and that's what took us out. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time on the channel. And in the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club, wishing everyone a pleasant evening, happy gaming, and a good night.